Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the webinar of between Dubai Real Estate Institute and Realopedia. We want to thank you all for joining again this week. When again, we apologize for the little glitch that happened last week. So today, the webinar topics are the do's and don'ts for brokers, which will be introduced by the Institute DREI, and selling real estate projects through the DPAP program will be presented by Realopedia. My name is Laura Schwery, and I am the founder of Realopedia and the CEO. I have been in real estate for the last 36 years and in the region for more than 25 years. We bring you a fantastic network for all real estate professionals on Realopedia, and we're very fortunate to have partnered with DREI to conduct these wonderful webinars. Today I will introduce you to Taroub Sulaiman. Taroub is a consultant and lecturer at the Dubai Real Estate Institute. She has a degree and background in real estate and has been involved in airlines and training. Taroub is multi-talented and has worked as a programmer, a writer, trainer, marketer, manager, and linguist. Taroub possesses significant ability to inspire and interact with the students, make participants feel energetic and more involved in the content and in the class. For any further information about the content of this webinar, please email info@DREI, and the information will be on the last slide. So without further ado, Taroub will now introduce you to her presentation.
Good afternoon. As Laura said, this is Taroub Sulaiman. I'll be talking a little bit about the do's and don'ts for real estate brokers in Dubai. Before we start, let's find out a little bit about the rules. In Dubai, this profession is regulated, and there's actually a bylaw, number 85 of the year 2008, that governs and regulates real estate brokers' profession. And under this law, there is a code of ethics. There are some rules, some, that tells brokers exactly how to perform and how to practice this profession. Within the law or the bylaw, there is a code of ethics that all real estate brokers have to abide by. This is actually a written document that has 11 points, which cover things like treatment, fair treatment, respectful treatment of clients, preservation of privacy, trust and integrity, quality observation of the practice, observation of the regulations and the laws. It talks about their obligation towards the society and how to preserve documents, and finally that they should respect the laws and the regulations. Now, I'm not going to go into details about the code of ethics. This is these are on the slides, but what our topic of today is the do's and don'ts. From these 11 points, we have derived a few practical tips on what you can do and what you cannot do as a real estate broker. And this is what we're going to discuss today. So, what can you do as a broker? First of all, you have to get licensed. You cannot work in Dubai unless you are licensed and registered in the Brokers Register with the Real Estate Regulatory Agency. You have to download the Dubai Brokers app. Again, in Dubai, we have everything is going the smart way. We have an application for brokers through which they can conduct most of the activities of their business on the, electronically, without actually traveling and meeting everybody. They have to access the forms. There are contracts between the broker and the seller. There's a contract that you have to sign with a buyer. And finally, there is the sale contract, which is between the buyer and the seller. These contracts are A, B, and F, respectively. You have to include, if you want to advertise anything in Dubai, any property in Dubai, you will need to include a RERA permit number. You will need to obtain a permit number from the authorities, and mention that in all your listings, in all your ads, including social media. Always identify yourself as a licensed broker, exposing your RERA smart card, which means this will give your client some kind of confidence or trust in you and in the market. You have to use the unified tenancy contracts. There is a tenancy contract that is unified, that is standard to be used by all brokers when they do tenancy agreements between the landlord and the tenant. You must only work with licensed and registered broker. Freelancers are not encouraged at all. Actually, a real estate broker must, it is his duty, hers or her duty, to report unregistered brokers and illegal activities or any kind of misuse or abuse of the system. The broker ID or your license actually needs to be renewed every year, and you need to apply for this renewal 30 days prior to the expiry. Of course, knowledge of all the regulations, the code of ethics is a must. You must deal with RERA approved developers and projects. All projects and developers have to be registered with RERA, and real estate brokers have to conduct due diligence when they're dealing with any of these properties or units, and they need to make sure that the developer is registered, that the project is registered, and that there is a registered trust account or escrow account in the name of that project with RERA. So make sure that all monies from off-land properties go into that designated escrow account. This account is usually managed by RERA. It is not managed by the developer. It is made in order to protect the investments of the buyers. Okay, I'm gonna have to move. Treat all parties fairly and without discrimination, obviously, equality. This is one of the points in the code of ethics. Provide documents to contracting parties that request them without delay, and act in good faith to all contracting parties, regardless of who you represent. So if you're dealing with a buyer, doesn't mean we can cheat the seller, and vice versa. It is, you have to be a professional and deal with everybody equally in a good way. You are a guardian of your client's money. It is not your decision. You have to follow the instructions of the principal, who is your client. Your role is to be an advisor in some cases, but not to take any decisions. You are not a partner in the decision making. Again, you have to always take reasonable steps, or what we call, you have to perform or conduct due diligence to make sure that whatever information you have is actually a fact. You'd want to avoid committing any mistake that will cause harm to your clients or to any party in the deal. If there is a collaboration between you and another broker, you must have that splitting of the commission or sharing of the commission in writing. Somehow you have to have that agreement in writing. Now, again, the concept of full disclosure to all parties, you have to give that about the specifics of the property and about the number of agents or number of other brokers who are working with you on the deal. All agreements, it is your duty to read all agreements very carefully and to advise your clients to actually do that. A good broker would actually sit with the client, go over the points, and point to the small print if there is any small print, and make sure that their client is happy with the terms and the conditions of the deal. Which leads you to educating your client on their rights and obligations. You advise your client of the fees that will be involved in this deal beforehand. You get them ready to be to know exactly what they're getting themselves into. Another thing, any negotiation, you have to advise your client step by step and not hide any stage of this from the person you are representing. In Dubai, we also have a special transaction register that has to be maintained by the company, where we register all contracts that are conducted or that are concluded through this office or through the individual brokers in the office. So if I have a contract with a buyer, with a seller, the buyer and the seller have concluded a deal, a lease contract, any kind of contract has to be registered in that special transaction register, which for short we call STR. And this register might be checked by RERA to ensure that it is accurate, to protect the rights of the different brokers and the different companies. This is your list of dues, and of course this is not, it is an endless list basically. Every day something new might come up. And now let's move on to the do nots. Firstly, we say don't promise potential clients anything that you cannot deliver, you are unable to deliver, just to secure the deal or just to secure the listing. Brokers know that clients are like children. If you have kids, you can't promise what you cannot deliver. This is exactly the same of clients. Spam emails, mass emails, and cold calling are methods of client generation or lead generation that are not really legal in Dubai. You cannot call people that you don't know or that have not solicited your business. You cannot advertise properties that are not for sale. You cannot use old or outdated listing prices or information. Do not accept money or funds into your bank account from your clients. So cash or any kind of funds are not to be placed in your account. They are to go to the either to the seller or to the other party. Cash from undisclosed sources is not allowed to be accepted. Do not engage in any activity that may incur loss. So do not cause harm, do not incur loss to any party of the deal, regardless of who you are representing. When you represent yourself as a party to a transaction, which means you are buying or selling for yourself or one of your family members, you are not entitled to commission. You cannot wear both hats in a transaction. You're either a broker or a party to the deal. You cannot accept a power of attorney. Basically, what we're trying to say here, do not represent your client through a power of attorney. Have your client assign somebody else to be their grantee in a power of attorney. This is due to, we're trying to avoid the conflict of interest. Because, as I said earlier, it is not a broker is not supposed to be party in the decision making. Now, you cannot represent more than one party to the deal without full disclosure to both parties, which means you can be the only broker. However, both parties have to know that you are representing the other. And you have to get written consent from both of them. You cannot give misleading information to a buyer or a seller about the price or the market value just to get the deal. So this is a no-no. Do not promise your clients future profits. Future profits are not, are in the future. Nobody can foretell. However, you can talk about trends. You can talk about what the expectations in the market is based on information, based on reports, but you cannot promise profits. Do not work in activities that are not permitted under your company's trade license. In Dubai, every activity has a separate qualifications, if you want, and the conditions to be added on the license, and you have to limit yourself to the activities that are under the company's license. Do not withhold relevant information deliberately or unintentionally from a buyer or seller out of fear of losing the deal or the listing. So this is very important. Sometimes people you may have, because you're in the inside, you may have some inside information that is crucial to the decision making. You cannot conceal such information from a client, especially if this information is pertinent in the decision making. Do not market, advertise, list, or promote a property that is too much or too, much higher or much lower than the market price. We have to do what we call a comparative market analysis, which is a tool that helps us find out or try to price a property and find out what is the proper market price, how much we can list it for, and how much we can expect to sell it for. Do not post false or misleading advertising to customers on the price, features, or benefits of the property, causing loss or financial harm to investors by print or electronic media. Again, advertising has to be realistic. You can beautify, but not change totally. Do not breach the privacy of the client by revealing the reason of the sale. If it's a distressed sale, you are not supposed to advertise this information. Do not reveal the details of personal or private information related to the client. Databases of clients is secretive, is private information. You cannot divulge it to people all over the place. Do not pressure clients to sign a document without them reading or understanding the document and their legal obligations as per the document, or denying them the opportunity to seek legal advice prior to signing. This point is very important. Salespeople have the tendency to be a little bit, they're supposed to be assertive, but there's a very thin line between being assertive and aggressive. So we need to be assertive. We need to allow our clients the chance to review the documents, review the situation, the scenario, and be convinced of the deal, because otherwise, if anything goes wrong, we are the experts, it falls on us. Plus, we don't want somebody who is, who we're trying to drag throughout the whole process. We want a willing partner in the transaction. Do not make direct contact with another broker's client if there is a written agreement. Do not dictate terms and conditions of agreement between the parties. You are not legally competent to do this. Let them seek legal advice, and do not delay a presentation or presenting an offer to purchase to the seller, or try to make any kind of decision on behalf of your client. You have to show him all the situation, all the scenario, whatever it is. You tell them the truth, you tell them the story as it is, and then allow them to make their decision. Of course, the law in Dubai is strict, and this is all part of the law. Code of ethics is part of the law. And these points that I just mentioned are just practical explanations, if you want, of how to interpret the code of ethics. Yes, so I think that's about it. I hope this was helpful.
Thank you very much, Taroub, for a very informative do's and don'ts. I would like to point out that although Taroub started by saying that the do's and don'ts are Dubai, as it is Dubai Real Estate Institute, actually the do's and don'ts are universal. If you are involved in real estate, if you are a real estate broker, if you hold a license, if you represent your industry, you have to work according to the jurisdiction of the country that you are referencing. This is what creates the integrity, and this is why clients will continue to work with you. And this is also one of the reasons, or the main reason, that will allow you to be a member on Realopedia. Now, from a lot of what Taroub has mentioned, agents and brokers that are licensed are members on Realopedia. We cannot accept freelancers, and we certainly do not accept agents that are not registered with their respective jurisdiction. Realopedia is a global platform, and therefore these rules apply to any jurisdiction where there's a real estate entity or real estate industry. So how does DPAP work? DPAP is a developer's preferred agent program. It is a platform of, as we all know now, I believe that for those that are familiar with Realopedia, the main core members of Realopedia that provide the data are the agents, the brokers, the developers, and the corporate affiliates, the associations, and the governments. So in this particular case, we are speaking about developers. And what developers do is they register on Realopedia. Again, they have to register under the jurisdiction of the country that they are presenting their project from. They build marketing resource libraries with the data that they have at hand. Some developers are more technologically inclined than others, and others are just have the data that is needed currently. But what DPAP does is that enables real estate professionals to represent the developers globally. By logging on to the platform, any agent that is registered with a license will be notified when a developer's new project has been uploaded. So how does this process work for the developer, which is built for the agent? Developers upload and showcase their projects, and they build a marketing resource library. What happens here is that the agent, the broker, or the company that is registered on Realopedia and is an upgraded member has either an individual membership or a corporate membership through their company. So it is the company's responsibility to ensure and to confirm which agents work within that real estate company. An individual that logs into Realopedia will wind up logging in, and they will register the company that they work for. So it could be a corporate membership or it could be an individual membership. Whichever of the two, the agents will browse and view the projects. They will then apply to the DPAP and complete the application form. Now, the application form that is generated is auto-generated, and therefore the agent's data that is collated from the site is on that application form, which would be the name of the agent, which jurisdiction they work in, what is their ID number, their address, their phone number, and so forth. And if there's any additional information that the agent would like to put on that application form, there is a sector that sends a message or adds information or any question that the agent might have for the developer. The developer will receive the application, and then they will look at the application of the individual, and they will send additional requirements if needed. The developer receives the data, reviews the application, and will then approve the application or not, depending on the criteria of the developer and the agent and their conversation. And then the approved agent has access to the marketing resource library. So what does that mean? What does the marketing resource library contain? On the dashboard of the agent, there's a pop-up box that will appear on the right. It will show you click and browse the property, which you can see with the red arrow here. You browse the property and the developer's projects will appear. Once the project appears, you read the data, you read the information, you can then browse and apply to view the developer's list, and then you can apply. We actually have uploaded two beautiful projects, one with Eagle Hills and one with Aluta. I would recommend that anybody that's listening that wants to apply and wants to represent the developer to do so. The projects are live on Realopedia. You choose a developer and then you click the DPAP. You select your project, the pop-up box will appear, and the DPAP application form will appear. So this is, for instance, one of the projects with Eagle Hills. It's the address Fujairah Resort and Spa, stunning location, stunning project. It's on the south of the Al Aqsa beach and 21 kilometers south of Dibba Al Fujairah. Beautiful location. I have actually visited this location. It's stunning, and if anybody is interested, I highly recommend you to have a beautiful property, whether it is for an ROI or for an investment, for a retreat, for retirement. It is Fujairah is a beautiful emirate. The application form looks as such. The email will be sent to the developer with the agent's application. Now, the data that you see here is auto-generated. This is a demo, of course, but it will have the name of the agent, the phone number, which emirate they are in, their license number, their address, and so forth. Now, Dubai is the emirate within the United Arab Emirates that has a jurisdiction in place for agents. For the rest of the Emirates or other countries that do not have such jurisdictions, we have third-party verifiers. So we always want to verify that the agents that are on Realopedia are registered in their jurisdiction, irrespective of rules and regulations in certain countries that are forward-thinking and that have permits for agents and have jurisdictions. Countries that don't have jurisdictions, I'm just saying that again, you cannot be on Realopedia if you do not hold a license or a formal regulatory application from your jurisdiction. The developer process, the developer will log in, they have their dashboard, they will look under DPAP, and then they will see the agent's applications. Once they review and they click the agent's applications, they then look at the agent's details, their details that are on the site. They could send a message to the agent. They communicate on the dashboard. The marketing resource library will only be accessible after the application requirements have been met. The developer will send the relevant information to either the individual or to the real estate company that's representing their agents. And this just gives you an idea of what the application looks like and what the message looks like. This will be communicated on a private dashboard between the developer and between the agent. Once the agent is approved, they now have access to the marketing resource library of the developer. This marketing resource library, or MRL, holds flyers, brochures, videos, documents, which is a commission agreement, an email template that the agent can now send to their network. Now, there's a few things that I would like to point out. First of all, the email template does not contain the data of the developer. It contains the information of the project. And why we do that is because we want to protect the clients of the real estate agents. So when you are an agent and you're sending out that flyer or that brochure, these documents are now automated in your name. So when you send out the project, it has your name as an agent. It'll say the Fujairah project, but it will not say who the developer is. The reason why we did this is because we want to protect the agents for them to be able to communicate freely with their clients. The second point that I would like to bring out is that for any client that is clicking onto Realopedia, the agent that is within the IP address of that zone will be the one that will receive the buyer's potential details. Not potential details, details. The developer never receives a buyer directly unless there aren't any agents that have applied to that project. So if agents have applied to a project that's in Fujairah, and a client is logging in from the United States or Canada or Lebanon or India, if there are agents in that IP zone, they will be the ones, if they have been approved by the developer, they will be the ones that will receive that client and that client's details. Now, if an agent does not respond to a client, there's an automated mail that goes to the client that asks them if the agent in their IP zone has contacted them. If they have not been contacted within a period of time, it is the right of the developer to then receive the details of the buyer and communicate directly with that client. So we ensure that we support the agents, but if the agents do not support what we are giving them, then the developer will step in and they will wind up taking over the communication of that buyer, because there's no reason why it takes 30 days to get back to a buyer when in a market that is robust globally, it shouldn't take more than a few hours. Everybody holds a mobile telephone. And if you're in the real estate industry, you have your emails on your telephone and you receive notifications. So once again, this has been built for the support of the real estate agents. This is a sample flyer that is automated in the name of the agent. It will have the picture of the project, the location, it'll have the country that it's located in, the name of the project. It will not have the developer's data. You have on this flyer, for just for the sake of a sample, you can see who the project is. But when this is sent out to the actual client, the name of the developer is not on the EDMs and is not on the brochure. It is only the name of the project with the details, the project name, a little description about the property, and so forth. It is up to the agent to communicate what they need directly with the developer. In the comment box, there's an open chat box between both developer and the approved agent. This is a sample brochure. Again, we have put here Mariam Island, we have put project by Eagle Hills, but on the actual flyers, you will not have the name of the developers. You only have the name of the project and where it is located. So you say Mariam Island, the emirate that it's in, and the country that it's in. This is just a little bit of a highlight of some pictures of the actual project. In Mariam Island, name, company name, email address, contact number. Those are the numbers of the real estate agent that has been approved. So again, Realopedia is a marketplace. It has technologies that support all industry stakeholders, from agents, brokers, to real estate developers, to corporate affiliates, and brokers to lenders. We connect and integrate all members on one technology platform. There's a lot in the pipeline with Realopedia, and we will share this as and when the data is released and structured. We continue to bring you partnerships. We continue to bring you trusted sources of data and real estate. We would also like to welcome 2 new members and partners, the Canadian Business Council and AmCam Dubai, which is the American Business Council in Dubai. And our partners, we continue to grow partnerships globally. This is just partnerships and alliances, but it's only a little brief. So that is it for us. We'd like to thank you for attending the webinar. If you have any questions at all, please email info@realopedia.com. And if you would like to reach out to DRAI, you can please email sobia@rera.gov.ae. For the agents that are in real estate markets, please note that you can represent developers from your market on Realopedia. You can be the face of the developer on Realopedia, as long as you have the authority from your developer and as long as you are a registered agent or broker within your company, within your country, and the jurisdiction of your real estate industry. So thank you very much. Have a great day, and we'll see you at the next webinar.